Hey, it is Scott with Zenvi AI. Thanks for joining the Systems Are Sexy podcast. Today, I'm glad to be joined by Craig Baute. He is the founder of DenSwap. It's a company that uses data and analytics to help landlords, operators, and investors identify where co-working will thrive and what type of space will succeed. His team combines consumer research, online data, and traditional CRE metrics to forecast demand at a block by block level, kind of insights that Starbucks and Target use for site selection. And now they're using it for co-working. So today we're going to talk about data and AI, how that's reshaping coworker, why B and C buildings are primed for repositioning, and where the next wave of flex opportunities are. So, Craig, welcome to the show.
Great. Thanks. Uh, Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk with DenSwap. Can you give people an idea of what you guys do and maybe how you're different than traditional co-working?
Well, yeah. So DenSwap is a data analytics platform to help landlords understand where co-working will be most successful. I started my first co-working spaces in 2010, 2011. And in my prior career, and they overlapped a little bit, was market research. So I did consumer market research for brands that were developing products like 3 to 5 years, and they have the time, they have the patience, they have the cash flow. These are large companies looking at innovations that would project forward so the engineers could start working. Basically, it's so the innovation sessions for engineers using data. When I started my co-working spaces and grew my co-working spaces to many locations, I was talking to commercial real estate brokers, and they use stats that I would have never thought of as being useful because co-working was a consumer product in my mind. It still is a consumer product, is an individual making that decision. And it's two very different ways to approach a problem. I find that my approach to be a lot more significant, the DenSwap approach to help landlords use data and research methods to much more confidently project where co-working spaces will succeed.
Yeah, so I think when we spoke earlier, you kind of mentioned, hey, we punch above our weight when it comes to market research. What are you guys doing differently, specifically, that maybe is different than like the traditional CRE analytics?
Okay, so let's understand what CRE. If you're a data analytics person, you're gonna get the dashboard of CRE stats, and you're gonna be like, these are so generic and macro, and people are making millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of decisions on purchasing, building something based on these macro elements. And the macro scale is like very kind of generic census data. There's much more sophisticated ones, but I've learned very few landlords use that. Is the population growing in the area? What's the current office vacancy like? And they break commercial real estate generally into three large categories: class A, B, or C, star ratings, basically. How much are they getting rent for? What's the office vacancy rate? And kind of, is the population growing in that area? Those are really three metrics that they look at. And rental rates, what are people being able to charge? Our approach is very, as you mentioned, very similar to how like Lululemon, McDonald's, Home Depot, Starbucks, how do they approach a site selection? Well, they look at like what type of consumers are in there. And it's not just like age, money that they make, education, like very, very top line census data stuff. We bring in data that brings in search data, credit card data, house formation data, how much do they travel? Do they have kids? Do they travel into school? Do they spend more money on technology? Do they spend more money on vacations? Are they savers? What's their mode of transit? Do they work for a company an industry that most likely is going into an office? Do they work into an industry that likes bigger size offices that are like show off offices? Or are they like a small tech startup is a very stereotypical one where they'll fit 4 people in a 160 square foot office. Well, if you have a lot of lawyers in the area, well, that 160 square foot office is going to be viewed as a one. So we pull in all of that data to really kind of give a much more concrete picture of A, will co-working work here? And B, who will it work for? And is your building like suitable for that if there's a market opportunity?
Yeah, I was wondering, it's a lot of information to share with people. Do you have any, maybe an example or a story of somebody, maybe it's a landlord or developer that you gave them the confidence to maybe to transform a struggling asset, or they go, "Oh, this could really turn into something"?
Yeah, so we have a space in Chicago that retail level gentrifying neighborhood is probably how I would call it. It's the neighborhood's improving. It was just off the main drag. So all the shopping's on this one. It's a corner building and no one's kind of walking, much fewer people are walking down the side street. It was rented out as traditional office a few years ago, kind of it did fine, right? Low budget person. Then they turned it into art studios as the neighborhood was becoming something new and sat empty for a while. And then that just wasn't anymore. So art studios really mean like cement floors, walls that went up 2/3 of the way, windows and everything, but like bare bones kitchenette type stuff. And they approached us and said, "Hey, would this work as a co-working space?" Like, and really they want to know, the first question is yes or no, because people will just debate it forever. We looked around, very little competition, young demographic, right? Like people, professionals. It's those 25 to 32-year-olds that are moving outside of moving 2 stops down the subway line to get cheaper rent. And they're all in that area. Anyways, it came back as like, yes, it's going to be good. Pricing pressure is going to be, though. You're not going to be able to charge too much pricing. They're like, so let's come up with a plan to where we can transform the space to meet your revenue goals. And so we can transform this into a lower priced co-working space that will meet your financial goals. And really within 6 months, it was meeting all the financial goals. They only ended up having to put around $15 per square foot in TI. All of this makes it up because they didn't have to use a broker. If they went to like a franchise group or something and said, "Hey, would this be a co-working space?" They're like, "Yeah, well, but it's going to cost you $100 in build out cost." And that price point that maybe that franchise group was originally selling them wasn't going to be, like, people weren't going to spend $700. Really, they were going to pay like $400 or $500 for an office, but there was going to be a flood the zone of co-working members that were willing to pay $150 for a membership. Yeah, there's been several of those with apartment complexes saying they buy apartment complex that has some commercial real estate. They're like, "What should we do with this?" And then we help formulate a plan. Scott, I'll tell you though, like 60% of the time we say no, like don't do it. It's just as valuable to get a no than a yes. Like I would say just over half of a landlord says this could be co-working. You're like, we do our research. We look at we can look at our gut check data and being like, dude, do not do it. And honestly, they're very thankful for that because they just didn't spend several hundred thousands of dollars and a lot of wasted time.
Yeah, I think it also gives you credibility because it's not easy to say no to an opportunity, but that's how you build your business, is by people having confidence in you. So I think that's really smart.
I mean, especially if we know that they probably keep using us
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the future. Yeah. Well, if we said yes, they would probably keep using us for additional consulting. But yeah, no, we treat it as we built the systems and all of the data when we started our own co-working spaces and we're evaluating future locations. So we approach it as like, this is our $100,000 that we're going to spend.
And I mentioned in the intro, we talk about B and C class buildings. What are your thoughts on those as far as converting them to co-working? Is that prime opportunity for you guys?
Bs and Cs, but Bs really, yes. So as people consolidate their footprint in real estate, they might be going from 20,000 square feet to 5,000 square feet. Well, if they're renting 20,000 square feet pre-COVID, and now they're renting 5,000 square feet, they're willing to spend, paying twice as much per square foot is still cutting their costs at that situation, which means everyone's kind of flying to Class A style buildings. Class A style buildings are holding up decently well at a macro level. It's the Bs that are just sitting empty. And so it's answering the questions of like, is there enough co-working demand in the area? And can we make this fit the existing space for a reasonable amount of budget, transform it into something that people want? There is a lot of opportunity because there's a lot of Class B office space. And if they are in a market opportunity, we can get that building to be, I don't want to be exaggerate, but 2 to 3 times its existing bottom low value that it's probably sitting at right now. We can probably 2 to 3x that. in a few years if it's in a good market opportunity spot.
Who is coming into, like, what kind of investors are you working right now? Is it more institutional, or are you getting individual operators that are interested in that space?
The real estate world, okay, so individual investors, but really our main pocket are these like family funds. So groups that own 5 to 50 buildings. It's usually a rich family. They want to diversify into real estate. And one of their things is they buy a building one every year, one every 5 years, and they kind of grow a portfolio of spaces. This type of investor isn't trying to flip the buildings. They're doing it as a cash flow business. They're wanting to they don't want a building to sit empty for a long time. They're not hoping for, well, maybe it will be worth $40 a square foot again. They're like, no, we want someone in there now. And yes, maybe we'll accept $20 a square foot right now. Help us figure out, use your data, because the broker data is not telling us a story. It is telling us a doom and gloom story where we're getting like 2 people a year come and see the space. So let's take a new perspective, use data in a new way, use your experience in a new way to tell us if this is a viable plan and what can we do forward. I mean, really, like the brokers are just stuck in this dashboard of three to four data points and a sales channel of brokers. Like they have very much have strong tunnel vision, and our perspective really kind of shakes them.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off that, obviously, when you're looking at an investor, you get opportunities. What do you think makes co-working so attractive right now?
It's work. It drives revenue. Like, I mean, so probably a lot of listeners aren't familiar with the commercial real estate. They know that office buildings are sitting empty. Denver, where I am right now, we have almost like 40% office vacancy in downtown Denver. So let's just say you look at 3 of those office towers, and one of them is just completely empty. So Scott, I'm going to say, what was your question again?
Just wondering what makes a co-working
Co-working an opportunity.
for an
Yeah.
investor.
I mean, plan A is play the old game that they were playing before. Plan 2 is lower the price after it sits empty for a year or 2. Co-working is honestly for a lot of property owners like plan C. We need to do something. And that's where they come to us. The opportunity is after plan A and B, a lot of people give up on C and the building goes into foreclosure, gets handed back to the bank, or it gets sold for a third the value that it was worth in 2018. So this is the opportunity. If you have a vision and you have the right data to confidently make a move, which DenSwap provides that right data with a new perspective, then you can buy this building a third the price that it was 10 years ago. It could be, like buying stocks in 2000.
Interesting.
So that's why our family funds is the big one, because they're cash flow buy and hold. They're not looking to sell. They have a diversified portfolio. They're looking to they're like the ship is maybe it's not sinking, but we need to do something. And then you have the other people that are like, I'm willing to buy a sinking ship. I can patch the holes and I can get this thing up, because they have worked with us with this new data perspective to say, this is where we're going to go. We found an opportunity with this building to do something new and not play the old playbook.
I mean, you're in an interesting position. I'm just curious what your thoughts are. You mentioned the 40% vacancy rate. What do you think that looks like a year, 3 years from now? Do those buildings still sit vacant? Are they co-working? Where do you think the demand is as people maybe don't go back to the office as much as they have in the past?
And so this is where crystal ball, I'm going to be one of the first persons to tell you, it's like, I don't know. But America's been a lot slower than Europe and Asia. Like those guys are already back to normal office levels and everything. America's culture is different. Co-working is a lot more of an efficient use of space. So what I can tell you is I can stand at a street corner and at downtown, small town, anywhere, and I'll be like, there's 4 buildings right here at this corner. Only one of them will be able to support a co-working space to drive premium rents. You have to be the first one with the right product. It won't be successful at that building, and that building. So if you're trying to play the slow game, wait and see, it's the first one at that corner is going to win. And they're probably going to win for that entire half mile 3/4 of a mile radius. So it's just a much more efficient product. It targets a certain demographic. You have to, it's not going to fill, co-working isn't the answer to fill up every single building. So some buildings will, Class A buildings in good locations will do well. Class B buildings, Class C buildings, I think the ones that can convert to apartments, residential will. A lot of them though will like hit a reset. They will go into foreclosure is what I mean. And the new owner will say, okay, now we're on this new cost basis. Our rent can be a third of what it was before. And then you have a lot of small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and even large businesses be like, okay, now we'll enter back into the office market and getting larger spaces because it's so cheap. That doesn't directly answer your question. I really don't know, but that's what's playing out right now. And I can see how that just keeps playing out.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I kind of want to shift more to like the technology side of things. I know we spoke before you weren't happy with your websites and your sales funnel. I think you said they sucked for a while. And I'm
They
wondering,
suck.
you guys have relied on referrals, and I'm wondering, how do you guys approach marketing now so you don't lose the leads never dry up? What is your approach now?
All right. So our new website, we're using AI to really start executing on the new website. Right now, it's coming up with a lot of our shortcomings because I'm not the developer. My partner is our lead developer. And because we do have a good, steady client list of referrals coming in, we're mostly focused on building out our internal apps and connecting in all the data resources to make our tools as accurate as possible and to execute. And we're really excited about all of that. That has caused us to ignore, right, as you said, the funnel, the website stuff. The AI, what we've been able to do to build, we were building on WordPress, we were building on some other tools. Now we're building a native website with all the React and JSON tools out there that I think are going to cause a lot more higher conversion rate. Well, because we weren't really getting anything converted through the website. We were getting like handfuls of clients through the website and most of all through referrals. So it's gonna juice everything up, and we're very excited. By the end of October 2025, we should have it up and running and a whole new sales funnel through.
You'd also mentioned I think you use outbound emails using AI to get very good results.
Bad results. Do not recommend it. And we tried and gave it a good effort.
Do you think there's another way to make it more effective, or is it just not going to work?
No, I think it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. I think the most effective. Okay, so let me go back and answer your question because a lot of listeners might say, well, your website sucked. That's why. It's like if people like click on your email and then go to a crappy website, well, then it's just a bad experience. We weren't even getting people to click through on the website, right? Like our click rate was bad. It did get through. We warmed up the domains. We were getting through spam bots. So to answer some of the question, we were answering through spam bots. We did have a targeted purchase list that we did have. And then we started sending out personalized email addresses. We still weren't getting clicks. Timeline on that was probably, we did that 4 to 6 months ago. So AI has gotten a lot better. The language has gotten a lot better, like just the humanness of it all. I'm not giving up on it by any means because I think it will make the whole drip campaigns and smart email campaigning a lot easier and more effective. So like, we don't need to like create all these rules that's like, if someone visits this page, send them an email. It's like, well, as the marketer, you have to think about that. You have to know what they're going to do. You're going to have to do those if that's. This is where AI email can really start to customize and create those triggers without, entrepreneur to think about everything that they're doing. I'm a data analytics and co-working guy. No one on our team is a dedicated marketer. And so how can you take a 3-person team to really expand to have the roles of a 10-person team? And that's where I'm really excited about all of the AI marketing tools.
Yeah, where do you see it being most effective for you guys, whether as it relates to sales and marketing?
I think, okay, so we're in a niche, right? And so your biggest problem is that you also need people to be aware of the niches. And so we do conferences, we do some content. For one of we do SEO and we do well on SEO. Once again, website sucks though. So for email marketing is that cold branch out. It is the cold email. I'm confident in it. It is getting the niche awareness out to a broad group. And I think doing the warming up of the customer to eventually get them into your website, to know if they clicked on it, if if they've opened up your email 3 times, but they've never clicked, but the AI email thing knows that. It's like, okay, now we can start to warm you up in a different way, or it can alert me. Once again, all the current systems kind of require me to create these if then statements. And I think the new systems down the road will start doing all of that much more.
Yeah, absolutely. So if people want to learn more about what you guys are doing, maybe they're interested in being a part of what you guys are doing, what's the best way? Obviously, the website sucks, so maybe they shouldn't go there. But what do you think the best way is for people to
You
learn?
can go to the website. I'm putting it out there. Go to the website. It's going to be done. It's going to be completed. You can also reach out, Craig at DenSwap.com, hello at DenSwap.com. That will go to the general team. Those are the best ways. We also, if you go to co-working conferences, we always speak at them and use our data to kind of share about what we're seeing in the world and what are the new indicators that we find.
Well, thank you, Craig. This has been great. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Absolutely.